Hello, this is Harry Reaver and welcome to my Nier Automata Let's Play series. I did promise that I was going to do the rest of the records about Anemone's past, so let's look into that. According to the Yora team, there's an enemy server beneath Mount Kaala? Is that how you say it? If we take it out, we might finally gain some ground on this endless war. But in order for that to happen, we need to work together. After a bit of thought, Rose decides to throw in with the new models. It's a relationship that changes as time goes on. What are you doing, Dahlia? Just showing this idiot how weak she is, replies winded Dahlia. Ha! Wheezes the opponent number 16. You're obviously outmatched. The two of them are taking turns hitting each other. It seems friendly enough, as those things go. Plus they've been doing it for so long that both of them are out of energy. They likely couldn't punch through a piece of paper at this point. The rest of the group stares at the combatants and tries not to grin. Dahlia and number 16 seems to butt heads over the smallest little things. Maybe it's because they're so much alike. It's almost annoying how quickly muscleheads learn to like one another. The rest of us converse as Dahlia and 16 continues to spar. We call each other by name that I gave us, explains Rose. I see, responds number 4. I thought it strange that you didn't use code numbers. She nods while she speaks, as though this all makes perfect sense. Suddenly Captain Rose breaks out into a wide grin. You know what, she says? I think we should give all of you names as well. No, says number 2, that would be a waste. Rose eyes her warily. Waste? You can name me when the mission is over, she replies, as a blush rises in her cheeks. I could tell her words also served as a wish for success. Alright, responds Rose. I'll think of a name for you by then. She knows this is a fleeting promise, as most such things are, but it doesn't matter. Already I can see us growing closer to the Yora team. Well, my friends are growing closer to them at least. You're all being careless, I state, much louder than I intend. Luckily, the others either don't hear or decide to ignore it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not about to go against the captain's judgment, but that doesn't mean I'm ready to just lie down and trust our new friends. Ours is a solitary existence that has long since been abandoned by the moon. No matter how much they cried, mourned, or struggled, the voices of our departed comrades went unanswered. So how can you trust an entire squad of new mortals that you just met? What's wrong, Anemone? I hear Lily calling to me. She likely concerned about me being apart from the rest of the group. Nothing, I begin. I'm fine. Before I can complete my thoughts, Lily suddenly opens her mouth and emits a terrible scream. Lily's scream echoes throughout the entire camp. It's heartbreaking, it's agony, it's horrible. She's infected, screams Rose. Lily's infected. We all draw our weapons out of instinct as much as anything else, pointing them at our comrade as she continues to scream and scream and scream. We all know what's happening, we've seen it before. It's a logic virus, a machine weapon that hijacks android systems and overrides their data. And since there's no known cure, it's also a death sentence. I need to show her mercy. I need to set her free. My finger rests on the trigger, Yet I hesitate, and before I can make that final fateful decision, I hear a voice rise up from somewhere behind me. "Stop, you can't do this. You can't just let your friend die." It's number 21, a girl I thought to be cool and composed beyond all measure, was now pleading to me to spare Lily's life. What do I do? What the hell do I do? Lily said you were like a family to her. You can't abandon family, not before you exhaust every possibility. What can you do then? I used my power to erase the virus. That's impossible. Rose spat out what we were all thinking, but before we can act, Lily starts to send near my comrades flying with impossible strength. I've seen infected androids before. I know how much damage they can do once a virus turns off their limiters. They'll fight and fight until they're utterly destroyed. Dahlia and number 16 rush into the fray trying to suppress their former friend, but she swats them away like flies. How many of us been infected now? How many of my friends have I been forced to put down? The heart I'm not supposed to have aches with the thought. It aches as I remember all of the identification numbers that have been retired. When did I start giving them names? When did I decide to simply couldn't endure it any longer? Initiating reprogramming sequence. That voice, number 21, she's screaming something about reprogramming? I don't know what to do. I'm lost. As my vision slowly clears, I see number 21 inputting commands into her terminal while number 2 and 4 holds her down. They hold her as she writhes, and Rose stares at me with surprise. Oh no. I'm holding Lily too. Archive obtained. You're a gunner 16, attacker 4, scanner 21. Since they don't have letters attached to them, I assume that these are the prototype models, the A models like A2. A2 was previously just called 2 if I remember correctly. Let's look at these archives. Okay, so they're just telling us about the guys. Gunner 16, a unit of experimental Euro squadron that utilized during the 14th Machine War. Number 16 was possessed a rough and tumble personality ideal for her role as a gunner, where she was required to attack foes at a distance. Though she possesses a defiant streak that extends even to her superiors, she was assigned to the mission anyway due to her tremendous offensive abilities. During her squad's assault on Mount Ka'ala, number 16 volunteered to stay behind and hold off her machine lifeform army. The machine lifeform, so her companions could continue up the mountain. She fought with great courage alongside members of a local resistance group and managed to hold off overwhelming numbers until the appearance of a Goliath that was unaffected by ordinary weaponry. Seeing no other way to end the fight, she chose to destroy the enemy by overloading and detonating her own fusion reactor. This act of self-sacrifice, despite her defiant nature, is one of remarkable interest and likely merits further study. And this is Scanner 21. A unit from the experimental Euro squadron was utilized during the 14th Machine War. Number 21 possessed a cool and analytic personality that perfectly fits her role as a scanner. Her first and perhaps most impressive achievement was using her analytic abilities to cure a member of local resistance group who had been infected by a logic virus. Unfortunately, she fell victim to the same virus shortly thereafter during the assault on Mount Ka'ala server. Though she fought valiantly, the virus evolved into a form that she could no longer remove, which eventually led to her asking an allied unit to end her life. Experimental Euro Unit number 21, initial success against the virus has been determined to be a valuable information regarding how to construct barriers against machine life forms, and should be included in the basic systems of all the subsequent Euro Squadron members. Attacker number 4. A unit from the experimental Euro Squadron was utilized during the 14th Machine War. Though Attacker number 4 possessed an unusually bright and cheerful personality, she still managed to be effective when it came to engaging close quarters combat. In addition to providing a morale boost to the group, this unit also used her sunny disposition to form an alliance to the local resistance group. She was eventually killed during the assault on Mount Ka'ala server, the cause of which was the self-directed overload of her own fusion reactor. Further research reveals that she undertook this action as a means of protecting her companion, Attacker number 2. That's A2. A for Attacker, is that right? On a further note, while this unit's cheerful personality provided certain benefits to the overall unit morale, it also was responsible for a decrease in fighting spirit during the intense combat. As such, it is deemed inappropriate for future combat models. Interesting. So that's why I'm guessing that emotions are prohibited. Resistance rose. This android encountered by the experimental Euro Squadron is the leader of a group composed of many resistance members. A survivor of the 8th Descent operation, she continued to wage guerrilla warfare in the Pacific region. Thereafter, unable to stop the ever proliferating machines, she continued to fight a war of bitter attrition over 200 years. After encountering the experimental Euro Squadron, she sought to change the tide of battle. Though fighting alongside them, she was destroyed by the machine life forms in the server room underneath Mount Ka'ala during the mission to destroy said server. Anemone, a member of the resistance group led by Dahlia. Wait, led by Dahlia? I guess there are multiple resistance groups then. That was encountered by the experimental Euro Squadron. This unit was said to be unusually cautious and showed great initial distrust of the experimental Euro Squadron. However, her disposition gradually grew more amicable after Scanner 21 managed to eradicate the logic virus that had infected one of her companions. She executed an infected unit number 21 in the elevator hall of Mount Ka'ala server facility and went missing shortly after. We haven't read that event yet. I'm gonna guess it's gonna appear in a later part of that. What is this? Anyway, I'm gonna guess that that's gonna happen in a later part of the story. In the... Okay, so it's the dark. What is this? When did I get this? Infant machine's memory. The closest thing to an infant machine. I have no idea. That is so strange. Peculiar machine, what am I... Alright, that's the side quest related to finding the resistance members and the funeral. Nothing new here, nothing new here. Picture books. I caught every kind of fish now. Okay, that's what we read. This episode might not have any action, and don't know, it depends on how long the reading will take. I'll read as much of this as possible because this is... I'm honestly thinking that we need to know all of this if we want to know anything about A2. Harbor Descent Personnel Records Part 3. 14th Machine War, Pearl Harbor Descent. The name of the mission entrusted to the Eura soldiers. Was there ever such furious gunfire, such bombings that continued without pause? Our target is the machine server up under Mount Kaala, and our situation is dire. We need reinforcements requesting deployment at once. Number 2 speaks quickly yet calmly, which is all the more remarkable considering hostile army closing in on our position. But the command center in the orbiting satellite informs us no reinforcements will be forthcoming. We are abandoned. We are alone. It's so easy to do from up there, from the satellite, from the moon. I'll do whatever is necessary, says Lily with a grim smile. Dahlia and Margaret quickly nod in agreement, as does number 16. They decided to join the rear guard, staying behind to be our shield, even though it comes at the cost of their own lives. Regardless, they all agreed without hesitation, for we in the vanguard would be joining them in death soon enough. Without another word, we turn our backs on each other and take up positions. We know this is the end. Dahlia and the others buy us time to reach the gate at Kaala's Peak. Beyond there lies an elevator, and beyond that is the server. If we can destroy it, we'll deal a devastating blow to the machine life forms throughout the Pacific region. But as I notice number 21 scowling at the elevator, I start to have a bad feeling about the final stage of our mission. Go on, she says, I've got this. We crowd the elevator and she begins hacking the terminal. She doesn't need to tell us what's happening. It's clear that the elevator won't descend all the way to the server unless someone stays behind to control it. Enemies are coming. They're almost on us. As I speak, I suddenly find myself leaping from the elevator and taking up a position at number 21's side, almost as if my body is out of control. Something is wrong. Something. I'll back up number 21, I cry. The rest of you take out the server. The door closes on my friends. The last thing I see is the face of my captain, Rose. She looks concerned, but then the door's shut and she is no more. That was the last time I ever saw them. But it's alright. I'm going to finish this one way or another. The only sound we hear are distant explosions and the rasp of 21's breathing. Thank you, she whispers, for staying with me. I look at her eyes and see a telltale of red of a logic virus infection. I was right after all. I sigh softly and draw my weapon. I've seen comrades infected before. That's why I couldn't leave her to die alone. The vaccine she gave Lily is already ineffective. The enemy has evolved. They studied number 21's patterns and developed a new resistance. No one can save her now. When the elevator reaches the server, begins 21 weakly. Then I'll give you peace, I reply. The elevator moves ever lower, creating a countdown on number 21's life. How much time has passed? How much can possibly be left? Too long to wait, yet not long enough for regret. A massive explosion echoes in the distance as the hall slowly shakes. It's the final act of Lily and the others in the rear guard. They just overloaded their own fusion reactors. The sound of our comrade's demise slowly fades from our ears. As it does, number 21 reaches up and slowly removes her goggles. I'm glad I got to meet you, she says. Her eyes are so red, but not completely. There's still a little bit of herself left. And while it is, don't worry, I say, I'll be with you soon. She smiles as my words reaches her ears. As soon as the elevator touches down, I fire a bullet into 21's brain. I watch the thing that used to be her tumble to the ground. I stare at the gun I'm holding in trembling hands. I press it to my temple. This will end it all. The war. My meaningless existence, all of it. It's finally over. Unforgivable. 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 Your comrades sacrifice themselves to fight to their last breath. They feel suffering, they feel sadness, they feel pain and terror. And yet you would surrender now. Unforgivable. The voice of the battlefield curse, telling those who survive to see their mission through no matter what. It is another me crying out. I scream at the top of my lungs, race down the hall. I'll show you. If you're going to push me, I'll show you. You'll only be satisfied if it ends with more killing. I leap into the fray with weapons in both hands. Here I am. Here I am. Kill me. As I scream, an explosion suddenly rises and sweeps everything away. A soft wind touches my cheek. I smell fire. I smell ash. The explosion in the server was powerful enough to take out Mount Ka'ala itself, reducing the once proud summit to a smoking crater. Machines immediately drop to the ground and stop moving. I look out over the scorching earth. Lily, number 16, Rose, number 2. Are any of you? I am the only one left. The only one. I was alive because I had been afraid to die. I begin to giggle. It's mad. It's a mad thing, crazed even to my own ears. I'll join you soon. You promised to join her soon. How could I have said such vain, laughable words, such lies? I laugh. I stand in the smoke with flame and laugh until I think my very own throat will tear itself in two. I blink. Daylight drifts through the smoke. I've been standing here all night. My laughter finally depleted. I force myself to my feet. I'm a coward who stayed behind, a coward who lived. Now it's my job to carry on the will of those who fought by my side. Since I can't kill myself, I have to fight until someone does it for me. I'll endure every hardship. I'll kill every machine I find. This is my cross to bear. I walk slowly to the west, dragging my broken body along. Man, Anemone's been through a bunch. Information Master. I'll have a look at that later. Number 16, 21, 4. I'm sorry I'm still alive, but I'll be joining you soon as I finish some things up. That's it. Jeez, Anemone and A2. But then Anemone was kind enough to easily join up with Pascal, and hopefully A2 is as well. I hope nothing happens to Pascal. I am hoping for a happy ending, even though I feel like the game would think that's not as interesting as whatever the game has planned. Which might be true, honestly. Euro Attacker 2. A unit from the experimental Euro Squadron was utilized during the 14th Machine War. She specialized in close quarters combat and was programmed to have a neutral personality. Attacker number 2 took command of the squadron after the death of its original captain number 1. Despite issuing many questionable commands during her initial time in leadership role, she eventually formed a working relationship with the Resistance and succeeded in destroying the enemy server located on Mount Ka'ala. While the experimental Euro unit number 2 possessed great growth and adaptability abilities, she's also deserted her post following the destruction of the server, and this moment she is yet to be apprehended. Our R&D group is currently conducting further research to determine whether or not there were issues with this model's personality settings. The missing unit, now designated A2, will be handled by the Type E Type E division. An E division, I think, is a group of Yora soldiers that are assassins, basically. They specialize in espionage and assassination. I met one in a side quest who wanted to remove her memory from all the people she killed. For this decent, I think it was an E one, wasn't it? For this descent, 12 experimental Yora units were deployed to destroy the server located in Mount Ka'ala on Oahu Island. However, they encountered heavy enemy anti-air defenses during the initial stage of the mission, resulting in the death of all but 4 squad members. The remaining units, which then joined up with members of the local resistance movement, and decided to continue their mission despite their initial losses. In the face of the fierce enemy counter-strike, the overwhelming numerical odds, a handful of units managed to reach the target, located at which point number 4 overloaded a fusion reactor and destroyed the enemy server. While the destruction of the server struck a blow against the enemy forces, the true purpose of this operation was to monitor and research how the experimental Yora units behaved during battle. This information would then be studied and integrated into new Yora models once the project were to proceed past the experimental phase. One note of concern: it has been verified that the black box signal of experimental unit attacker number 2 remains alive. Due to the possibility of this unit being captured and compromised by the enemy, and due to the unit's existence itself being a matter of the highest level of confidentiality, it has been decided that it is to be recovered or disposed of by the Type E division once that group is fully operational. The Type E division. Let me just double check that on the finished quest. I believe it's called Amnesia. Yeah, Type E. So this is a side mission I did that involved a Type E unit. Seeing more of life's log, there's a resistance woman lost her memories, came rushing back. Turns out she was a Yora Type E, hiding her true nature. She blended in with the resistance to rout out fugitives and traitors, with her final victims being a dear friend. Racked with guilt, Type E erased her own memory, then the sudden return of this tragic memory ended up leaving her shaken and unstable. Yeah, she was laughing and she seemed to be going crazy, honestly. That was not a happy ending. So she basically killed a bunch of lovers, friends. Like, her job was to get close to people that she was meant to kill. And she always succeeded, I guess. That's what the Type E job are. Assassins, basically. And they're supposed to be dealing with A2. I stuck a lunateer on her hair. I don't know if I mentioned it. I did it again now. She really reminds me of Kaine. Personality and even a little bit on the style. The only thing she's lacking is the mouth. Okay, so Pascal's village, right? Should be available now. So this virus thing is not new. It's existed before, but we only see it at this point in the game. But however, a lot of people have experienced it in the past. I wonder... And that's another thing about this story that talks about A2's past. So the entire mission was part of Wait, people are alive?
There's machines everywhere.
Analysis. This is a colony of pacifistic machine life forms led by the unit known as Pascal. It is logical for a large number of machine life forms to be present. This pod has concerns regarding Yorha Unit A2's predictive skills.
I'd be more concerned about me smashing your face if I were you.
So, I came here as 9S. It was abandoned and wrecked. Even that giant machine was like dead. I don't understand what the heck happened. Wait. Okay. I'm going to be ending the episode. Before I do that, I want to have a quick look at the... Actually, no, I can do that another time. This is... I don't understand. So I was just tricked? Okay. So what was I going to say before I was surprised by everybody being alive here? I have no idea. Oh yeah, so the entire mission was an experiment. Like they were sent there purposefully to see how well they would do for combat. If that's the case, and A2 found this out, which it's in her data log right now, so I wouldn't be surprised. The entire thing was an experiment. It's no surprise that A2 would want revenge against the people of Yora and the Council of Humanity, because they basically sent all of her team to their deaths as an experiment to see how well they would fight and how well they would deal with the situation. Yeah, I can see that's a suitable excuse, I guess. It makes sense a little bit, though. Again, I don't know if that's the reason. Well, I know there wasn't much action. In fact, I don't think there was any action this episode. But if you did enjoy, please press the like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe, because I will be uploading, I think, these episodes daily. I think it was worth making this episode, because this pretty much colors in the missing blank that is known as A2. Since she's pretty much the main character now, and we don't know anything about her. Now we do. I think it was worthwhile. Anyway, I hope to see you next time.